Greetings and salutations, everybody. So good to see you. I know we have a few people already tuned in. I am joined this time around by Ryan.
Hi, friends. How's it going?
You know, Ryan, I think it's going pretty well when we see you with a nice, sturdy glass of wine.
It is actually sturdy, so I don't have to refill it.
You're really set for the whole experience there. I know over on our Discord, we have a few of our patrons joining us. We have Britt, we have Ashley, we have Joe. Welcome. It's so good to have you. I'm really excited for this ranking tonight. Now, I feel like a lot of the final girls that I know and love are from the 70s and 80s. And obviously, we have some standouts in the 90s. Ryan, I know 90s is very much your vibe, but I struggled with this one a little bit.
I'm gonna do my best. I feel like, honestly, you know how I feel Final Girls is hard all the time for me?
It's true. It's true. This is one where we have some of the obvious ones, and I did a little bit deeper digging. There are two that I took off. One, I've just simply never seen the movie. The movie is called Mosquito or Mosquitoes. And you know what? I just thought this person must not be that exciting if I've never seen this movie. But there's also Deep Blue Sea. And when I was doing my research, everybody was trying to point out, like, oh yeah, the doctor from Deep Blue Sea. But I'm like, famously, she dies very violently. I don't know why I even had her on the list as long as I did, honestly.
Too much deep water anyway. We had enough with like Jaws 3D, so we can that for a bit.
I'll have you know that I was talking about Jaws 3D quite a bit at work today. Welcome to the summer.
Ashley is already starting the LL Cool J nonsense, okay?
Ryan, were you here for LL Cool J?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think I was here. I don't know. I was here during some extensive LL Cool J fandom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our girl, I'll tag her in here. Diana really spearheaded and really owned engaging everybody as they entered the chat about LL Cool J. Oh, Rob, I hope you're enjoying a great American hot dog at that Great American Ballpark on the 4th of July. There are fireworks happening outside, and honestly, I just don't really give a damn about fireworks. Do you, Ryan?
I love fireworks. They're like one of my favorite things. I've once driven across 2 states just to go buy some fireworks south of the border. I have a little firework on my arm.
Aww.
Tattooed. It sometimes just looks like a spider, but it's okay.
That's adorable. South of the border, famous south of the border in between North and South Carolina with Pedro.
Yeah, on 95, where like every building is super empty all the time, and it's really weird. And I don't understand when their like heyday was, but they have fireworks, and I wanted a really good fireworks. So
I love that for you. All right. So looking into tonight, we have a few things. Now, Ryan, you weren't here for our last ranking, and I know that you've seen a little bit of the back end of this, but are you familiar with the general gist of what we're doing here tonight, what our challenge is ahead of us?
Yeah, I have a pretty good understanding. Do you want me to spoil the rules?
We'll get there.
Okay. Yeah, a pretty good understanding. I don't know. I just find it so hard to remember these things, to think of these things, these people, these movies. I don't know. You know me.
Yeah.
Memory.
I get you. Don't worry. We'll go over the rules. We'll go over the scoring. We'll break everything down. I famously have a spreadsheet to help me with this very daunting task. So just to recap, though, I want to point out some of the highlights. Now, as you can see on the screen before us, we have a few different tiers. And you can see where some of your favorite 70s and 80s Final Girls may have landed in our previous rendition of this. Now, first off, it's legendary. It's the top of the top. Then we have effective. They're pretty damn good. Not a lot to say there. Underrated are, well, we'll circle back to that one. Adequate is where we tend to find the most of the final girl action. These are the ones who make it to the end, and they did something beyond just survive. So you get we'll break down the point system in a moment, but you already get default points for being in the movie and not dying, right? But there are some other elements to how active were you within the runtime, and how would you describe the longevity of your place in the franchise, right? So there is a lot to do there. But then we have down to the forgettable category. And forgettable is for the folks who typically end up just starting and ending. Not a lot there in the middle.
Basically, forgettable is surviving, right? Like you made it here. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good try.
I survived all this trauma and all I got was my PTSD. Yeah, basically that.
Right.
But you didn't do anything else.
Right, like an accidental survival.
Yeah, honestly, they happen to survive by no effort of their own. It's very damsel in distress, but they don't do anything about their own distress. It's kind of that situation. Then we have two other categories, and this is where the bias comes to play. So real quick, I'm going to take us through the rules for the game, and then we'll recap where some of these fell. First up, we only cover the original character. No remakes. Now, what I mean by that is the remakes will be taken care of in their proper decade. So in our next tier maker, in our next stream, you'll see a lot of the remakes from the 2000s. So we have Friday the 13th, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street, we have Rob Zombie's Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We have a lot of that energy where you may see a Final Girl repeated. But we're not going to do that in this stream. In this one, it's going to be the original canon of that character. It may not be the same actress who plays that character. For example, last stream we had Kristen Parker, who is from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. She was recast for the next movie, but it's still the same rendition of that character. Does that make sense, Ryan?
Absolutely.
All right, beautiful.
Remake a same exact character, and that's not what we're here for tonight. You know?
Exactly. Now let's break down this point system. So Math and I never were friends, but we're gonna do this. You're gonna get a point for the each movie that you start in. Was it one? Did you have a nice, long, beefy franchise ahead of you? These are the Laurie Strodes, the Ellen Ripleys of the world. You get a point for the number of people that you saved. There are some points where there's like a half point for a cat or something like that. We'll get into that. You have a point for every movie that you survived, but you do lose a point for every movie that you're killed in. Now, that may sound weird. How can you possibly die in several movies? I'd like to point out that Laurie Strode, for example, is part of a franchise that has multiple timelines. I don't know what her fate is going to be at the end of Halloween Ends this year, but she died in previous Halloweens. Well, technically she died off screen, and then she died in Halloween Resurrection. So we have a few different characters that may have bitten the dust in alternate timelines for their franchise. And then you get another point.
It's confusing, not the point system, but the existence of multiple timelines. I hate it.
Exactly. It's really the multiverse. You also get a point for the number of killers that you have vanquished. So you played an active hand or an active role and dealing damage and hopefully putting them down. Now, this is the first decade. Well, this is the second decade, third decade that we've covered. But the first decade where it felt messier than it probably should have been. And I think it's for one particular franchise that everyone knows pretty well, but we'll get there in a bit. How are you feeling so far, Ryan?
I'm nervous. I feel very stressed.
What?
I'm just scared. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to sound like an idiot. I hope everyone listening knows that I do actually love horror.
Oh, no, it's okay.
All this stuff off.
You're not going to sound like an idiot, so don't worry. When we did this stream last time, there were plenty of people who remembered some people and a lot of people who didn't remember others. Now, the point system that I just described will give a Final Girl a certain numerical value. But you know what? Where's the fun in numbers? Where's the fun in points? The numbers guide us to the right general area, but then we have the underrated and overrated categories. And this is pure, unadulterated bias. This is the I fucking love this chick or I fucking hate this chick. And I honestly, famously had this, as you can see on your screen right now. Sally Hardesty, I think, is terribly overrated. Terribly. And then when you looked at the math, some of my favorite Final Girls, Joe Johnson, Chris Higgins, Jess Bradford from Black Christmas, they scored really low, but their impact on their franchise or horror at large was much bigger.
So, just to get it straight, there's a scientific tier list based on the stats, and then there's the Chris hates them.
Yeah, or Chris loves them. But
Okay.
I will say that I obviously didn't put it just on whether I loved or hated someone. It was also open to our listeners and our viewers so that they could weigh in too. And we did come to a pretty large consensus, and I think we all got along just fine. I'd like to think.
We'll see how it continues to go.
All right. Well, we have a lot to get to here. Just to recap, in our legendary category, we had Laurie, we had Ellen. We also had, in our effective, we had Nancy from A Nightmare on Elm Street. We had Alice Johnson from Further in A Nightmare on Elm Street. We had Stevie Wayne from The Fog. And we had Kirsten from Hellraiser in that entire franchise, who actually had a lot more vicious shit than I ever realized. Ryan, I cannot wait for you to watch Hellraiser.
I feel like that's implied with Hellraiser, though. I'm not surprised by that at all.
All right, so looking up tonight, let's see, we have Tony who's gonna be joining us soon. Love that. All right, so first up on our list tonight is from the movie The People Under the Stairs. Ryan, you were on this episode, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because we have Alice, and there are other girls who survived in the movie, right? The stair people, you know, famously many genders within underneath the stairs. But we try to look at like the main character. So we had Alice Robinson, who starred in one movie, and she survived to the end of that movie, so that gives her 2 points. Now, she also, though, was instrumental in helping the Fool, if you recall.
Right, and she also, like, fought off her creepy dad, right?
She fought off her creepy dad, which doesn't give her a point because she didn't deal the final blow, or, like, the next to last blow, but she did kill her mom. Well, it's very much like a Chicago moment. You remember that song, He Had It Coming, from Chicago? He ran into my knife. He ran into my knife 10 times. Mommy. No. Okay, you don't remember it, but
no,
it's
I've
okay.
never seen this. Why would you?
You've never heard the song, Ryan?
I understand that Chicago was a thing. Like the play musical. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. But Mommy ran into her knife. So I still count it as a point. And that puts her at a total of 4, which puts her right up into adequate territory.
There we go. I truly feel like the word adequate works for that final girl.
I love that. What kind of energy does like adequate give you?
Adequate is like, I'm not disappointed that she's there, but it's not like it's not remarkable. We're not remembering her as a final girl. She is one, but we have to Google to find her part of the list.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Next up is going to be one that's a little more interesting, a little more spicy. This is one that we covered a film more specifically during our October celebration last year, the co-host clash, when Mac famously nominated a movie that is a sci-fi horror film, but everybody thinks it's not horror. And this is Sphere, which we also talked about just last night on our Jaws 3D episode. So we have our girl Beth. Do you recall anything in particular about Beth, Ryan?
I'm gonna need you to tell me who Beth is.
Okay, so Beth is the only female scientist who's like part of the actual crew. There are other women that are down in that space with them. Famously, Queen Latifah dies by jellyfish in that movie. But she's one of the leading actors, right? So we have her. She stars in the movie. She makes it to the end.
She's hot.
Oh, yeah. There you go. There it is. +5, Ryan. But the thing is, she doesn't do a whole lot else. Now, there is a lot of conflict. Like, she does have, like, a very rich character. But in this movie, if you recall, it's like the situation, what happens to you once you go into the sphere is like your thoughts or your fears or your paranoia is then manifested. And arguably, she nearly killed everyone with her fears.
Yeah.
So I didn't deduct any points, but I feel like almost she should have, just because of the principle of it.
Like she should be at the bottom of the list.
Kind of, but I don't have the full bottom of things yet. Her 2 points does land her in forgettable, though.
I'd say forgettable for sure.
Really?
Literally, kind of in the movie forgettable.
You forgot which one she was. Yes.
I mean, once I saw her, like I remembered that she was a blonde, but it's not like she did something that I recall. That's you know.
Besides be gaslit and deserve better.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a movie with Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, the very
Is that
one.
his name?
That's
Okay,
him.
well, feels like he's a gaslighter, so there you go.
No, that's okay. All right. So next up on our list, we have, well, so far one inadequate, one unforgettable, and our next one is from a little film called Leprechaun 2.
Oh, please don't.
Were you on this episode?
Yes.
Okay.
I was in fact forced to watch 2 Leprechaun movies.
Where they do, well, actually, oh yeah, because you had to watch the first one before you watched this one.
I was on the first one too.
Oh my gosh, you were.
Maybe I wasn't on Leprechaun 2. I don't know, but anyway, I hate it. No, I definitely was. No, 100% I watched both of them. They were horrific.
Yeah, this is the one where people continue to get lost inside of a tree.
Yeah.
Well, we
face
had, go ahead.
The face licking.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that was disgusting. In this one, we have the very beautiful Bridget, who plays the, the leading romantic interest opposite our main character, who is at odds with the leprechaun. She is famously kidnapped by the leprechaun,
Yes.
held into the tree. She tries to find her way out. Here's the thing, though. She is in the movie. She survives the movie, but just like Beth, she doesn't do much else.
Didn't she at some point, maybe I just completely made this up, didn't she like dress up for him and kind of like play him though?
She did. She did.
Yeah. And she was like act like she was into it.
Yeah, does that give you some like bonus points there? It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to make a comment of that on the spreadsheet, and we'll reassess her later? It'll be a good opportunity for us to see if we want to bump her up into something else. But for right now, the numbers squarely put her into forgettable.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm.
I think it has to do with the fact that she didn't do enough to him, and she didn't she didn't do anything to change the course of the story, right?
Yeah, truly. She was there to get rescued, which makes me sad. Yeah. Now, our next one is from a movie that many people know, many people love, and one that I think you're actually quite fond of, Ryan. This is Delilah from The Faculty.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have to put a name to the face.
Yeah, of course. She is here on our bottom left, and this to your screen. You can see my little hand going over her. Obviously, if you're watching it at home, this is going to be a little small, but you recall she's the one with the glasses. She is she's in the office, and she's kind of like an aggressive one. You know, I feel like she really takes charge in a lot of ways.
So hot.
Yeah, very hot. She is in the movie. She survives the movie. But here's the trick about not only her, but a lot of people in the faculty. They become infected.
Yeah.
So, like, they probably should have died, even though they didn't, and they're completely normal at the end. So here's the math I did on that. I gave her a point for being in the movie, and gave her a point for technically being normal at the end of the movie, but I deducted half a point for getting infected in the first place.
Right, which makes sense because I don't know. The thing that I remember the most is that she was doing was it actual coke, or were they doing something else out of like a pen?
Yeah, it was some kind of drug that Josh Hartnett was selling.
Yeah.
That man peddling.
If you're in faculty and you get infected, you have to lose points. Because are you really a final girl?
Barely. You're a final girl in the sense that you made it to the end without losing your head.
Yeah, but like that's like if you become like a zombie and then turn back somehow, like, do you win? Did you make it for real? I don't know. That's
Are
a
you
questionable one. I like your choice.
are you richer for the experience? Who knows? Mathematically, though, that puts her at the lowest that you could possibly score, a 1.5 into the forgettable category. To be fair, not a single person before this scored a 1.5. I feel like if I deducted points for being a damsel in distress and only needing a group of guys to rescue you, as opposed to like surviving by your own hand until the end, this list may be a little different. But for now, she's running in last place.
It's a little bit rough, but honestly, the only thing I remember is that she did drugs with a douchebag in the garage. I don't remember anything else that she did.
All right. That's fair. I mean, there's a little bit more faculty action as we get on. But this one, though, okay, this one's going to get spicy. This is one of the ones that everybody shows up for. And you famously never show up for. Oh, folks watching at home, for all of our patrons in the chat, I hope you're ready to talk about Miss Gale Weathers. All right. So, Ryan, you tell me your thoughts on Gale Weathers.
I am just not charmed by Gale Weathers. I don't care about Gale Weathers. I think Gale Weathers is annoying. I don't like read into the like, I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't know. I just don't like her. I don't know what to tell you. I feel like I like the real person in person. Maybe, although she kind of, I'm not so sure.
But what if she's like Paris, where you like them more once you meet them in person?
I could see that, but it's just Gale Weathers. It just rubs me the wrong way. And also, I feel like she does like a lot of, I don't know, she doesn't make good choices. Everyone, I think, has a little bit of like a romantic view of Gale Weathers, when Gale Weathers is really not the one.
I guess I could have built in some kind of intense scoring system where we deducted a half point for every bad decision that jeopardized others. However, let's get to the numbers. We have Gale Weathers starring in Scream 1996. She gets a point for every movie she's been in, and she's been in every Scream movie. That's 5 points.
Okay, I'd like to note that that scoring system slightly skews things because it means that the bigger franchises are always going to be at the top.
Potentially, but there's other ways to pad the numbers in terms of actually doing something. For example, there is going to be a movie in the 2010s-ish that is one franchise. Sorry, it's one movie, a standalone film, but this chick kicks a major ass. Like, it's real intense.
I just want to note, Ashley says, like, whether you like it or not, she does a lot of ass kicking. She's like an annoying sibling that drives you crazy, but your family wouldn't be the same without them. I agree. I get it. That doesn't make me love her. I have a sibling that drives me crazy, and like, my love for him is rarely palpable.
Rarely palpable.
I love him, but my love for him is rarely felt in the air, and that's the same way I feel about Gale Weathers.
Okay. It looks like we have some other Gale Weathers stands, at least. Well, not exactly. Britt is famously sort of indifferent on Gale Weathers, but she does a lot in every movie, and I can see her scoring very high.
She does do a lot, but it's because she like goes off by herself doing like random crazy selfish stuff. I don't know.
Hey, don't worry, Tony. She got a lot of points, Laurie Strode, but she also caps out at a certain point, and you'll see it. I think you'll see that it shakes out the more we get into more modern films, and the body counts for each film and the number of killers in each film just increases and skyrockets. But we have her in 5 movies, and here's where I'm going to invite the opportunity for some debate. So I want you all to think about this very clearly, or very carefully. For a number of people saved, I have her at 5. Now, here's the interesting thing. She intervenes a lot. She does a lot of stuff. I have her, if in the original film, if she did not show up and give Billy that first shot, who knows what would have happened, right? Obviously, we also have Sidney Prescott, who will be discussed later in this stream, but she had a hand technically in saving Sydney and Dewey and Randy, and then she also directly had a hand in the most recent film saving two people who remain unnamed because Ryan hasn't seen the movie yet.
It doesn't matter if you name them.
No, it's kind of a big deal though. I don't want to spoil.
It won't affect anything.
Okay, here's the thing, Ashley. Does saving Dewey count more than once? I am open to it counting more than once because, like, each time it happens in a movie. However, she doesn't actually save him more than once. She tends to him. But she only really saved him in the first movie. When I was, like, going back and I was, like, reading through the synopsis and I was, like, trying to remember, because Dewey gets pretty fucked up in every movie, but she only really saves him once.
I don't support counting anything she does for Dewey more than once. Anything she does, whether she is or isn't saving them.
Really?
I don't. Also, Tony, I'm trying to get fired. That's the only explanation I have. I have nothing else. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of movies that I don't have to watch for the podcast.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know. I'm so sorry. But just remember you love me.
I do love you. Quite a bit.
All of you.
Okay, so right now I have her at 5, and that's only counting Dewey once. Only counting her Dewey save once.
Mm-hmm.
She survives in all 5 films. A little bit of a spoiler alert. She's never killed, so she doesn't lose a point. And she has a hand in 2.5 killer deaths. Now, the two mostly come in the movie that I don't want to spoil for Ryan, but the 0.5 is because she gets a shot on Billy in the first film, and technically that should have killed him. But then
Wait, aren't we not considering sequels outside of these decades?
No, we consider the whole Final Girl like throughout everything,
Okay.
but remakes we will only consider in their decade.
Got you. So sequels are fair game. Okay.
Sequels are fair game, but she has a hand in killing the killer in the first film and the second film, and then, you know, more.
Also, we're hitting fireworks time, probably on my side and your side, so we may have some pop in the background.
Oh yeah, can you hear them going crazy in mine?
I can't tell if it's you or me. I think it's both, honestly, but
That's fair.
I'm sure it's also the people at home, so it's cool.
I would like to think that the fireworks are for the brave independence of these women, because nothing says independence like fighting the patriarchy and getting your power back. I can't wait to see what Ashley has to say about the math here. But either way, Gale Weathers has a total of 17.5 points.
Jesus Christ.
I know, that's so high. Gale Weathers, ooh, let me actually count here. Technically,
I think she's going to legendary.
she is going to legendary. She's scoring between Ellen Ripley and Laurie Strode.
I'm honestly surprised she's not above Laurie Strode, but I think the different timelines affect that. So
The different timelines affect a little bit less than you would expect. It was crazy when we looked at like the sheer numbers of things, because remember that Laurie also doesn't get points for killing killers the way Gale does.
yeah.
Laurie gets points for saving other people and her own survival.
I just like to note, like Ashley especially, I want you to know that most of my distaste for Gale comes from OG Scream, and I feel like I just carried it on forever. I feel like Scream 1, Scream 2, I'm like, no, I'm good. And then I refuse to accept her in Scream 5, 4, whatever. All the up-to-date stuff, I just refuse to appreciate her because I didn't like her at the beginning.
Wow. Okay, I think you should give her a chance, find some room in your heart. I also want to point out that Paris Nicholson, famed Gale in our couple's costume for Hacker Slash, Paris says in the YouTube chat, Gale is that girl.
Yeah, Ashley is correct. Kind of insufferable in the original. Just hard to get along with. Also, not Paris in the YouTube chat. Like he doesn't know where to find us.
Paris just started typing in the Discord chat. Welcome.
Yes. Welcome, honey.
So right now we have Laurie Strode and then Gale Weathers and then Ellen Ripley. So we got some action going on here in the legendary category, and we'll see if anyone else joins their midst. But next up, we have a really fun one. Now, in our 70s and 80s stream, we had a scenario where we had multiple Jamie Lee Curtises. So you can see her here in the legendary tier as Laurie Strode. And then you can see her a couple different times in the adequate tier. And then you can see her once in the forgettable tier for so many other roles that she's had. Wow, loud fireworks on your end.
My neighborhood really feels American. Okay.
Yeah. So we have some presents there. Our next one up is technically already on the list. Nancy Thompson, Nightmare on Elm Street, famously played by Heather Langenkamp. Now, Scream came out in 1996, and Scream was defined as like a meta classic. Paris, yes, the math, it's complicated. Laurie's only on here once. Those are other Jamie Lee Curtis characters, though. Roll back to the tapes to the 70s and 80s stream, and you'll see. That's why she scored so low on some of these films. But we have the reality of New Nightmare coming out in 1994, 2 years before Wes Craven really blew up meta with Scream. And do you know the premise at all, Ryan, about New Nightmare?
I have looked at the concept a little bit. Wait. Yeah,
I've talked about it quite a bit. That's probably like you're picking up on what I've said in the past, but New Nightmare takes place in a world where Nightmare on Elm Street was a movie, and Freddy Krueger was a character. Except now, Freddy Krueger's come to life, and Heather Langenkamp, the actress who played Nancy, is being hunted and attacked by him, and she has to defend herself and her son.
which is very a la Scream, I'd say.
Yeah, it was. Hey, prove yourself 2 years before Scream. This character did nothing but save her son. Love the movie. Not a good final girl. Ooh, okay, Ashley. I love New Nightmare. So the actress that plays Nancy then plays herself. Yes, Paris. Does that give extra points for you? I gotta know. Paris, I also want to know. We'll remind you of the point system. You get a point for every movie you're in. You get a point for every movie you survive in. You lose a point for every movie you're killed in. You get a point for every person or animal you save. And you get a point for every villain, foe, killer that you vanquish. Or you get like the next to last shot, right? If you're collaborating with someone else. So those points land you into legendary, effective, adequate, or forgettable. It's a lot there. However, we then have the bias categories for underrated and overrated. So, Paris, if Nancy or Heather Langenkamp is getting some range for you here, we can make a note of that and see if she ends up in a different category. But right now, she's got a point for being in the movie. She's got a point for saving her son. She's got a point for not dying on the way. And she's got a point for her showdown with Freddy. And that puts her into adequate territory.
I haven't seen it, so I feel like I can't comment. I feel like adequate doesn't feel like enough. But then again, Ashley said she did nothing, so
she does show down. No, she like, there are some girls on this list who really do nothing. They just make it to the end. She has to confront some things. You know, she has to battle some things, some demons, so to speak, whether they be dream or otherwise. And she is responsible for another person's life. However, it's a pretty low 4, right? That is like the minimum score you can get to be in the adequate territory. She had as much of an impact on New Nightmare, mathematically, as Alice had in People Under the Stairs. The babysitter nanny bothers me. By that point in the movie, she could have been doing more. Oh, no, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
It's a fair point. I actually can't wait to get to New Nightmare. It's going to be a great time. So, right now, we've had 2 inadequate. We've had 3 in forgettable and 1 in legendary. Now, next up, Ryan, what are your feelings, your thoughts on Renee Zellweger?
Ooh.
Do you know who Renee Zellweger is?
I do, but pretty meh. I feel like meh.
That's fair. That's fair.
Just being honest.
That's okay. Bridget Jones's Diary, a number of other movies. Before all that, she was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. And let me tell you, this movie is just fucking weird. It's really weird.
I have been talking a lot about, like, once we get to like the 3s and 4s. What number is this in Texas Chainsaw? 4?
Four. It's 4.
When you get to the 3s and the 4s in a series, things get weird. Okay, and Texas Chainsaw is already weird. I can't imagine what 3 and 4 are. What 4 is like.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one where she actually shows down at the shows out or faces off at the very end of the movie with a little cameo of Sally Hardesty, or woman who's supposed to be Sally Hardesty, in the hospital. Yeah. This movie is just bizarre. I would start to explain it, but it's really fucking weird, and I feel like the weirdness of it just has to be captured in the actual episode. Right now, she gets a point for being in the movie. She gets a point for making it to the end, but if y'all have seen The Next Generation, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have her doing shit else besides that. She just makes it to the end. Kind of like Sally Hardesty, who's there, she sees all these horrors befall her people, and then she lives to talk about it. But that's all I got.
So she just exists.
Exactly. Very different. Very different from Heather Langenkamp and Alice. So that puts her, right now, unless the girls in the chat know better, it puts her into forgettable category. A lot of people worth being forgotten.
No one's going to be disagreeing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brett's on board.
So next up, we have one. And I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight.
No. Not
all right. Me. So I've only seen this movie like once in the 90s. Because I love Tales from the Crypt. But I more so watched the show. So this is Jada Pinkett Smith. When she was Jada Pinkett before she was in Scream 2.
Interesting.
So before before there was even Scream, she was actually the first, like, what we now know to be like a conventional final girl. She was the first black final girl. Ooh. There are other black women who have survived in horror movies, but she is the first of this prototype.
And this is like prime Jada Pinkett too.
Yeah.
Like a 10 out of 10 Jada Pinkett.
You gonna stay out of that one, Ashley? A lot of people have feelings on Jada Pinkett. I don't have much of an opinion on her beyond Scream 2. I remember her being pretty fucking cool in this movie. I have a point for her being in the movie. I have a point for her making it to the end. But she also does this thing in the movie where she is really responsible for moving the entire group forward. And while a lot of people around her perish, they would for sure have done so a lot earlier had she not been there, right? Had she not been present and kind of keeping things moving.
That deserves points.
It does, but I still didn't give points because they didn't like live. You know what I mean? Like she didn't actually save them. She did protect a cat, so that gets a half point. We don't talk about Fight Club, Jada Smith, or Bruno. Okay, got it. She also, though, does a really great job of showing down the villain at the end of the movie and vanquishing. So I have her at a really very difficult point here, a 3.5. If I give a full point for the cat, she'd be in adequate territory. The math puts her at forgettable.
I mean, I don't think you can give a full point for a cat, and I feel like that's fine. I don't think anybody's going to argue with you.
We'll see, though, where things shake out emotionally once we go back and put some bias on the rankings.
Okay.
The backgrounds, are the background fireworks, are they really doing it for you, Ryan?
I was not concerned about watching fireworks, and now I'm like, wow, everybody's shooting fireworks and I'm missing them.
I'm so sorry.
I'm enjoying the bounce between mine and yours.
Oh, yeah. I like to think I've been playing a lot of The Sims lately, and it just sounds like some of the special effects or the sound effects from that game.
It
Yeah.
totally does.
All right. Next up, we have from the film Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday from 1993. 1993 was a great year. We have Jessica Kimball. Never.
You know I don't want to watch that movie.
I know. Honestly, though, maybe this is a bold statement for me to make. I think this is the worst Friday the 13th movie, but I also think it has the coolest ending shot of most Friday the 13th movies.
It's not worth it for an ending shot?
I think you would disagree.
Worse than 2 and 3?
Yeah, no, I think this is the worst. Absolutely. The whole premise of this is that there isn't really a whole lot of Jason. And Tony, you were born in 1993? Damn, I'm old. So there isn't a whole lot of Jason, but Jason's like spirit or energy, whatever. He possesses other bodies in the movie. So it's like them chasing down Jason's spirit. And she is a relative of Jason, and she's the only one who can put an end to it all.
Tap me out. I'm good already.
Okay, but I am going to show you the final scene. Not like the whole scene, but like the final shot. Because I think it is the only thing that justifies most of the movie.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah. So she gets a point for being in the movie. She saves 2 other people. She saves a dude and she saves a child. She survived to the end of the movie and she takes out Jason. So that gives her a point of 5 points. That puts her into adequate territory.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Friday the 13th, 5?
No, this is like way past that.
Okay.
Yeah, she gets 5 points.
I thought that's... Yeah, it feels hateful for a late series Friday the 13th, but also it's not fair. I haven't seen the movie. Even if the movie sucks, the final girl can still be good. So
That's true. She's not the worst final girl, I don't think. But it is like I genuinely, when I've done like Friday the 13th rewatches and like marathons, things like that, this is always the one that I dread watching. But again, coolest final shot. We got some activity in the chat.
yeah,
You
This
always
man said that maybe Leprechaun was a good horror movie from 1993, so I'm blaming them. You're done here. Be careful, the ice is thin. Don't be talking about Leprechaun.
Hocus Pocus is not on this list. I struggle with Hocus Pocus. I struggle with Hocus Pocus in the same way that I struggle with like Nightmare Before Christmas. Nightmare Before Christmas is strictly for me a November 1st movie. November 1st and beyond, but it's not a October before Halloween movie at all. And it's definitely not I'll watch it after I've watched the entire Halloween franchise. But Hocus Pocus is a great spooky season October movie, but I don't consider it a horror movie.
Yeah, it's spooky Disney.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun for the whole family. Now, our next one up is also fun for the whole family, and by that I mean it involves a lot of gaslighting and there's some babysitting of kids, so it's not actually a whole lot of fun. This movie is Ryan, have you seen the remake of When a Stranger Calls from like 2006?
Yeah, like I think I've only seen the remake. I didn't see the original.
Okay, so the original,
Prime time for me for like
yeah.
horror to scare your pants off.
Okay, so the original is, in my opinion, a great movie, but it's the very first 15 to 20 minutes and the last 15 to 20 minutes that really pull it together. The rest of it is kind of like true crime detective work in the middle. But it's honestly some of the scariest shit I've ever seen in a movie because of how good they are building the tension. So When a Stranger Calls Back is from the 70s. Actually, Jill Johnson, final girl, she's the third in our underrated category so far. She is babysitting a group of kids. She gets these phone calls. Have you checked the children? Have you checked the children? Have you checked the children? And then all of a sudden it's, why haven't you checked the children? And she says, "What do you want?" He says, "Your blood all over me." And obviously, like, the kids are dead. They've been dead. They've been dead a while ago. But she's been downstairs the whole time because the kids were sick and she wasn't trying to disturb them. This next final girl is named Julia Jens. And she is from the sequel, made for TV, When a Stranger Calls Back, from 1993.
Oh.
This movie is so underrated. I wouldn't say that she's necessarily underrated, but the movie itself is what, for me, launched Jill Johnson from just forgettable category to underrated category because of the arc that she has because of the sequel. She is so good. Basically, this young woman goes through an experience very similar to Jill. Then she moves on, goes to college, and she's living with the trauma of that experience. And she's being gaslit. Like, the police don't believe her. She knows someone's been in her house. And she ends up linking up with Jill, who's now like a counselor and a trauma responder, etc. And they go on this whole adventure through this movie. The thing about Julia, though, is that she's in the movie, she survives in the movie, but she doesn't do much else. She actually scores pretty low.
Yeah, I feel like that sounds kind of interesting, and the still shots on Google look interesting, but
Yeah.
if she doesn't do anything, she can't be a good final girl.
Yeah. The movie, though, like, don't let this fool you. The movie is so worth a watch. And I think the level of intrigue in the movie is more interesting in terms of, like, the ratio. It's way better than the first movie. And they really up the ante on the type of killer. And
For
they're...
whatever,
Mhm.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for whatever reason, the shots of it give me like The Game vibes, like kind of psycho, not psycho. Like psycho thriller, kind of like it's in your head kind of thing. That's what I feel like it would be.
Yeah. The movie is great. And honestly, if you can find it streaming online now, watch it. And I honestly, Ryan, cannot wait for you to watch it one day so I can hear what you think.
Yes.
Now, our next one, speaking of 4th of July, speaking of fireworks, we have Julie James from famed 4th of July horror movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, famed is definitely a word to use to describe that.
It's popular. What are you waiting for? Yeah.
I hate it.
Jennifer Love Hewitt, who I will say has grown on me tremendously since the 90s. Like, she's on that show 911. Huge fan of her. I think her acting is actually pretty great. Now, we have her, it looks like, this is Tony's Forever Hollywood Crush. How do you feel about that?
She's a very particular type of girl. Not my vibe, you know? But I can understand. I can understand why this would be your it girl.
Is it because Beth is more your vibe from Sphere?
If I was like choosing like top of the line, it wouldn't be either of them. But I just feel like Jennifer Love Hewitt is just so girl next door, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I love studying.
That's true. Ashley says Julie James does give major damsel in distress vibes. Ooh, yeah. You know what? The numbers said it to me too. So let's break this down. She gets 2 points for being not only in I Know What You Did Last Summer, but its sequel the very next year. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Brandy, right?
I have her as being accredited with saving one person, not in the original film, but in the sequel. She helped save someone's life. She survived in both of the movies, and you know what? She didn't do shit the first movie, for real. Like, Ashley, you're absolutely right. Major damsel in distress. But in the next movie, she does help kill one of the killers. So she does do something.
I don't remember her doing anything in the original.
Yeah, she didn't. She stood there with arms out, with arms wide open, a la Creed, and said, "What are you waiting for?" That is what she did. Looked great doing it, but here we are. Now, here's something that I didn't know. In the, I think it's like 2011, there was going to be a movie called Last Summer 3D. And they were going to bring back Julie James, Jennifer Love Hewitt, and she was going to die in the very beginning. And then they canceled the movie. It was supposed to get released theatrically, and they canceled it. Now, you can find photos of it online. I'm sure the movie exists somewhere. I haven't been able to find it. I did prefer her character in the Jack Black version of this movie. Great call out. Great call out. Now, the thing about it is that with a ranking of 6, that actually is our first addition tonight to the effective category, which honestly feels like a crime.
Yeah, I mean, she was in 2 movies, saved, 2 people in the last one? That's
one movie. Saved one person.
One person.
And then helped kill somebody.
Feels like a bit much. Sometimes we need bias.
Sometimes we need to just show the numbers who's boss. So you should make a note of that, Ryan.
Tony is stoked.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we have someone who's nowhere near as famous as Julie James, but it's Kara Strode from Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers from 1995. And this woman, I've had such mixed feelings on my whole life, like watching these movies. And then I watched it again as an adult and realized, wow, I feel badly for her. Because she really puts up with some shit. She's been through some shit in life. She's moving back in with her parents. She's raising a son. She has a really toxic, abusive father. And never mind all that, then they're like tangentially related to Laurie Strode, the Strode family. And they move back into the Myers house. Like, this is a whole situation that's real fucky, real weird. And she really throws down. Now, Ryan, you haven't seen a lot of these Halloween movies. You haven't seen this one. But how do you think someone would fare if they're not Laurie Strode and they go up against Michael Myers?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're gonna die.
Exactly.
I feel like they're not on this list.
She absolutely should have died. Here's the thing, though. She's in the movie. She saved 3 people. She saved her son. She helped save Tommy, who was played by Paul Rudd. All right, so Tony, you got it. No, Ashley, you got it. And then we also have the little baby that she helps as well. Famously, the baby that was birthed by Jamie Lloyd, who is in the underrated category of this when she's much more grown up. So we have her so far 4 points. She gets a point for making it to the end of the movie for a total of 5 points.
That's another high one.
You would think, but it's actually only adequate.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, adequate is actually high at this point because almost as many people are forgettable as adequate.
Yeah, I think a lot of Finding Rose are adequate. Like, they actually do something in the movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's fair. It's the effective and the legendaries that really matter.
Yep, I support it.
However, I do want to point out that she attacked Michael and lived. So, she's not Rachel territory for me. She's not Jamie territory for me. But shout out to her because she went in and she could have lost her life very easily.
So I think your bias vote is going to be that she's underrated.
I actually don't care enough about her for that, but I think she deserves better. I think adequate is very fair for her. I think looking back on it, I think people would assume that she's forgettable. But I think when you actually look at the meat and potatoes of her character, she's bumped up into adequate, which I'm okay with.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Now, next up, we have your girl, Brandy. You saw I Still Know What You Did Last Summer?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Wait. I didn't see it.
Oh.
I just know that it exists, and I just know that Brandy's in it.
Okay. All right.
I've not ever been a fan of Brandy. I have to be honest.
Really?
Nothing, not Final Girl related, but just like in general. I don't know. She just doesn't do it for me, and I feel like that is like shame in this current time. I feel like people are hype on Brandy as she ages like fine wine, but like, yeah, I don't know. I've just never been a Brandy girl.
I actually enjoyed Brandy. I enjoyed her show. I enjoyed her music. I enjoyed her in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. But here's the thing. in this movie, which she is in the movie, she makes it to the end of the movie, but she doesn't do much else. She is, though, a really great friend. Like, she's very much a support system. She really tries to support Julie. She doesn't, like, really buy into Ray. She doesn't really trust Ray very much. But she is also part of the reason. She's not, like, the core reason. But she's part of the reason why they end up on that, like, vacation anyway, and then gets subjected to the killers. So, 2 points. It's pretty low.
Yeah, I'm kind of second guessing myself. I feel like I did actually watch this because I Know What You Did Last Summer was something that someone I grew up with made me watch, and I think we watched at least one of the sequels. Because I'm kind of looking through some shots and they look familiar, and I've never remembered Brandy doing anything.
That's fair.
So
And Ashley, you raise a great point. Her attitude is less whiny than Julie. I think I like her just for that reason. Absolutely. And it's okay. She has a great personality. She's a great friend. I would like a friend like Carla Wilson, played by Brandy. I would. But for right now, in terms of her longevity in the franchise, she's sadly in the forgettable category.
Yeah, I think as a final girl, that's appropriate.
Yeah. Now, next up, we have another one that's questionable at best. Famed lesbian Kristen De Silva. Famed lesbian, yeah. If Paris were here, he'd say famed lesbian. She's in Child's Play 3. She is another student at this academy. She helps out Andy. But she is just such an oddball character to me. I don't really like her that much. Like, she's fine, but really to summarize her performance, her training helped Andy fight Chucky, and she helped save Tyler, but that's about it. Like, she wasn't that active. She was just a romantic interest more than anything else.
Yeah, I was not a fan. This is the one where they kissed and it's a man, but Paris said it's a lesbian kiss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I am not a fan of her in this. It doesn't do anything for me. I didn't even know that she lived. She could have died. It wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have changed anything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Wait, Tony, you love her? You love Kristen? Okay, Tony, I want your defense for loving Kristen. Like, she is helpful, right? Like, again, her training was integral in Andy fighting off Chucky, but she didn't do much else. So she does only get 3 points. You let me know, though. I can't wait to hear what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, that puts her in forgettable. Ashley, you just watched all these movies in prep? Ooh, bless you.
All the Child's Play?
Was it all the Child's Play, or was it... Oh, yeah, because we just did do that episode.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you watched every movie in preparation for this Final Girl stream because I shared the character list, bless you.
No way. All
No.
these movies. No, there's no way. Ashley, even if you say you did, I'm not going to believe you.
Well, first off, you said she helped fight Chucky and helped save Tyler. What else did she have to do? Well, no, she didn't help fight Chucky, though. She helped save Tyler, but she trained Andy with shooting and all that shit that was helpful to him. But she herself, like, she got hurt. Like Chucky hurt her. You know what I mean? She was sidelined the entire, like, climax of the movie.
Also, I just feel like she didn't have enough of an impact as a final girl. Like, she wasn't insignificant completely, but she's insignificant as a final girl.
Yeah, that's fair. She literally had, Tony, a bam bitch went down moment for the Chucky TV show. Oh, the Chucky TV show is so good, and I cannot wait to watch it. It's gonna be so good. All right, next up, we have from Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. If you're sensing a pattern here in the parallels between like Jason Goes to Hell, and we have Freddy finally allegedly dying in the same decade-ish. We have Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and we have Final Girl Maggie Burrows. Now, Ryan, I know that you're a Freddy girl, but do you know anything about the rest of the franchise beyond, like, the point to which you've watched?
No, not really. I think we've reviewed up to like 3 or 4, maybe 4.
Okay.
That's about all I got.
Yeah. So we're going to be on 3, or I believe. No, yeah, we're on 4 next.
Yeah.
We're on 4 next, but this is a film. Oh shit! Is that movie? No, that's not from the 80s. No, that's Child's Play 2. What? Child's Play 2 is that 90s? Oh, I'm pretty sure that was 80s. So we have Maggie Burroughs, and Maggie Burroughs is actually the daughter. We actually have the daughter of Freddy Krueger.
Which one is this?
So this is Maggie Burroughs. This is Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, one of the last Nightmare on Elm Street movies. It's the last one before New Nightmare. So it's very much like daughter of a dark demon. She has the opportunity to go dark herself, and she does not.
Is this the rapist timeline or no? Pedophile Freddy
That was
timeline?
always implied and like intended, but no, this is not the remake timeline where it's like explicit.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is a total of her making it in the movie, her being in the movie, surviving the movie, and she helps vanquish Freddy at the end. I have a little joke here about another Wes Craven-ish film that just came out this year, but I won't spoil it for you, Ryan. I know that one day you'll watch it.
Oh,
It's
so
creepy.
much.
But that puts her at 3 points into the forgettable category. And I'm so sad that I missed Kyle from Child's Play 2. I'm so sorry, Tony. Please forgive me.
Personally offended.
I am, and I'm actually so angry about it because I like went through this list 50 times, and even at work today, and to all my horror movie fans, I'm like, okay, I need to know. And they were shouting out a bunch of movies that were from the 80s. And I was like, no. It's strictly 1990 to 1999. And instead, I went to 1991 to 1999.
To be fair, there's always room for adjustments. I feel like these tier lists are never complete.
That's true, which makes me only more sad that the next person on our list is someone who's both forgettable and annoying before we even get to the math. I'm sad that I put her on here before I put Kyle. I'm so sad. But this is Michelle. Michelle is from Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 from 1990, from the same year. She was in the movie. She made it to the end of the movie. She helped kill a villain at the end who's part of the Sawyer family. But she is probably one of the most grating final girls on this entire list from both decades. She's real bad. So I'm going to go ahead and just slide her nonchalantly into forgettable, and we'll move on with the rest of our day.
I only barely remember her. I think forgettable is easy.
Yeah,
Easiest.
we didn't even watch this movie yet. So you must have seen her somewhere else.
Oh, I must have seen her somewhere else. I feel like I recognize her face a lot.
I don't like Texas Chainsaw as a franchise, so I've never seen it. Yeah, actually, I get it. Barely remember Maggie. Freddy's Dead is the only Nightmare movie I've only seen once. I've seen it a couple times. I haven't seen it like in the sense of, obviously I've watched New Nightmare a bunch. I've watched the original a bunch. That franchise is just so long that I have not gotten to repeat it. I probably should one day. I need to find like a good season in which to watch it, like back to back to back to back to back. Every Halloween I have Halloween. Every Friday the 13th I have Friday the 13th. When is Dream season? And that's the question I need answered.
I feel like we need to set it.
Hmm?
I feel like we need to like set a time.
Yeah.
The actress from Leatherface is Kate Hodge, but I also don't recognize anything that she's done. So
She just has one of those faces. Got it.
yeah, she has a weird list of things that she's been in, and none of it is normal.
So next up on our list, we have one who I want to hear from y'all. I don't know that she 100% counts. It's Mina Harker from Bram Stoker's Dracula. So, Ryan, did you watch this?
No, I wasn't on this one.
Okay, but have you ever heard the story of Dracula?
I understand the concept.
So Mina Harker is a young woman, and she's in some stories wedded, in some stories affianced, betrothed to Jonathan Harker, who is like the kind of like the audience vessel and like the way we experience Dracula. And Dracula sees her as his resurrected love. And there are some timelines in which she's down for that, and there's some timelines in which she's not down for that. But this is one where she is. She gets a point for being in the movie, she gets a point for surviving the movie, but she wanted to be a vampire and she was all about him. So I feel like almost she should, on principle, lose points.
Right.
Kind of like that. Yeah. So she is just 2 into the forgettable category.
Yeah, I mean, if she's not against him, she can't really be a final girl.
Yeah, like barely counts, but she did make it to the end, so we're splitting hairs.
Okay, you say so.
Great Photoshop job, Tony. I'm so glad that you got Kyle into the ranking.
It took me a minute. I was like, why did he send a screenshot of the list?
Yeah, until I realized exactly where he placed her.
Yeah.
But good for you for being modest and putting her into effective instead of legendary. That would have been a bold move.
Legendary is next level.
Yeah. Next up, we have someone who's definitely not legendary, but we'll see where the math puts her. This is Molly from Halloween H2O, 20 years later, 1998. Now, the interesting thing, though, is that she plays Josh Hartnett's girlfriend. That's her claim to fame. That's about all she is.
That's it? She doesn't do anything?
No, she does. She does technically save him. Like, she does, help him. But that's about it. She's in the movie. She makes it to the end of the movie. She stops Sam from dying. And there's a point where he's wounded and they have this whole key fiasco. And she's kind of responsible for overseeing him and his safety. And they do square off with Michael a couple times. But that's about it. There isn't much more to say about her. That puts her into forgettable.
I'd say so.
Y'all know what I'm going to say. Let's see, Ashley. What are you going to say? Who else survives that movie?
Is like everyone dies in that?
LL Cool J, baby.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I should have seen that one coming.
LL Cool J, honestly, I should have put him into this Final Girl tier list because he did survive those 2 horror movies in the 90s.
We'll do the math. I feel like he would go into adequate.
Yeah, I think so. Both characters probably. Next up, though, we have someone who disappointed me largely when we watched the movie. Nathan, hi, welcome. So good to see you. So we have right now someone who disappointed me greatly, and Paris and I talked obviously at length about this when we did the watch along for this episode, but this is Natalie Simon from Urban Legend 1998. You had feelings about her.
Hold on, need to see her face.
She's the redhead.
Oh, sure. As a final girl, I feel like, I don't know. This movie, I think, is so hard to remember. I feel like she made bad decisions.
She was pretty obnoxious.
She was just kind of like obnoxious and just kind of like oblivious to everything. Also, hanging out with the killer all day. Every day.
Best friends with the killer, absolutely.
Literally best friends.
She did have that one great moment of pushing back in the car against Joshua Jackson's character, so that was a great moment for her. She really showed up. But here's what we got. She's in the movie. She survived the movie. That's 2 points there. I don't know if this is 100% fair, but we think of Paul and Reese being in that room when Brenda is like goes out of the window. I have her because of her defense of those two and pushing Brenda out of the window or taking the action that she did. I have her as credited with both of their saves. What do you think? Is that too generous? I should have put Reese as the final girl. I thought she was a little bit too much of a side character. I should have just put her in though.
It's maybe like slightly generous.
Okay.
I don't know if it's too generous.
I need to know from the chat then. especially since all of you have recently watched. Especially since all of you have recently watched this, do you think Natalie Simon gets credit for saving Reese and Paul? Or would you veto, and I can fix the graphics on this later, that we get rid of Natalie and put Reese in?
I have such a hard time with this movie. It's like we watched it like 2 weeks ago. It wasn't actually 2 weeks ago. It was probably like what, like a month ago.
It was like 2 months ago. Yeah.
Like, I forgot everything. Reese does play a heavy part, but like, I don't know. See what people say.
Yeah. Ashley's typing vigorously. So is Nathan.
She did take a bullet. Reese took a bullet, but
if we keep her, she doesn't get credit for saving anyone.
I already can remember that too.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove the 2 points. She does get half a point for almost dealing a final blow to Brenda, but we all know that she didn't actually kill her. So she does land at 2.5, which is still well into the forgettable category.
Agreed.
Okay.
As a final girl, agreed.
Yeah, we'll put Reese in here somewhere as probably underrated. Next up, though, we have a real fun one. We have the Dime, at least that's what you called her, from Dead Alive, 1992, Paquita Maria Sanchez. You remember?
First off, I call everyone a dime. I feel like I can't be held responsible for every time I say somebody's a dime, okay?
I mean, but she is great.
Yeah, hold on a second. I need to see.
So I had to really go in and do some math on this one. Had to consult some experts. But let's just point out where we stand generally. She is the central love interest for Lionel in this movie. And she's in the movie. She makes it to the end of the movie. I credit her with saving his ass on occasion. And then I also have her killing 6 zombies in the movie.
But this movie's tough because there's so much that happens. I feel like the stats are already going to be kind of fluffy, but honestly, for me, this is like if I'm making my bias choice, this is like underrated.
It's underrated?
I think so.
Okay, but here's the thing, mathematically, she actually comes out to 9 points. That actually lands her on her own into effective category.
Okay, I'll take effective.
And it takes her above Julie James.
I'll do that. I support that. I feel like it's weird because it's a zombie movie, so there's like so many like kills, saves, I don't know, things get a little bit blurrier, but she, if I'm not mistaken, was like the only thing that I enjoyed from this movie.
No, that's completely fair. She did a lot in this movie, and I think, yes, zombie movies can get out of hand pretty quickly, but there are also some zombie movies where some people just barely survive, right? So I think she put in some work. Compare her kill count to his kill count, absolutely outrageous.
Right.
All right. Next one up is from a movie you have not seen. This is from Tremors, 1990. Yeah. I did not put Reba on this list. I'm sorry, everyone. But this is Rhonda, who's like the student / seismologist who's out in the desert studying. And there's some interesting mix here. I didn't give her, I think, full credit that some of you may. So she didn't directly kill a graboid, which like the big worms, but her knowledge was key to fighting them, right? So kind of like Kristen De Silva, Child's Play 3, her knowledge was key, but she didn't actually do it herself. And the other element to this is that she's in the movie, she makes it to the end of the movie. I directly credit her with saving the 2 main guys, but technically, if you want to skew it just right, she could be attributed with saving the additional 7 townspeople who make it to the end, again, because of her knowledge. I feel like it's a stretch, though.
I don't know the story, and it sounds like a stretch.
It's because I'm selling it like a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, just because someone knows something and 7 people survive because of it doesn't mean they saved the 7 people.
That's fair.
I don't know if our chat folks feel anything differently.
We'll see. If Ashley feels like it's a stretch, then it's definitely a stretch. Now, she is someone who disappoints me a little bit because, so this is like another Kevin Bacon movie. Right? Do you like Kevin Bacon? Have we discussed this?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't like Kevin Bacon.
I don't like the fact that his name is Bacon. I know that that's stupid.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious.
How do you like that last name?
I feel like
I've never met a sausage. A person named sausage, not this.
oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. You raise a very fair point. I've never met someone by the last name Waffle or Flapjack or Pancake.
So many foods.
Yeah, never. It's a stretch, but everyone probably would have died without her knowledge, so I'm undecided. Okay, Britt, that's fair. My disappointment is that she ends up like, it's not even a disappointment with her, but rather the movie. Kevin Bacon's character is uninterested in her, and then all of a sudden, like, he falls in love with her at the end, and she lets him. And I'm like, ugh. Okay, I feel like stretching and saving people to include knowledge opens a can of worms we may not be prepared to deal with.
Right, because, I mean, we're talking about physically saving people. We're not just talking about, like, telling people how to save other people.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
At the very least, like, half points for stuff like that. Definitely not full points.
Yeah, maybe like a quarter point for knowledge. I'll add a different category maybe in the future for like what like knowledge, right? So I do not have the 7 additional points on here because that would have really fluffed it. But right now that lands her at 4 points, which puts her into adequate. She did a good job helping save the day.
Feels appropriate. These fireworks are for her.
Fantastic. I love the celebration. Next up, we have a film that's technically a remake or an adaptation. I think I've only seen this version, though. And this is Sarah Wolf, who is famously played by the same actress who played Clear Rivers from Final Destination. She is technically, and this is from House on Haunted Hill, 1999. She's in not only this movie, but the next movie. She helps save one person in the first movie. She survives one movie and loses a point because she's killed in the sequel. Feels great.
I don't like Sarah Wolf.
Hi, Britt. Welcome. Britt, you had your picture with the cast in our recording last night, and I was startled. I hope you're okay. All right, but Sarah, for right now, obviously House on Haunted Hill, really good movie. She gets a point for helping someone survive, but he also rescues her more than she rescues him, so it's weird. Even with that generosity, though, she still mathematically lands unforgettable.
I didn't see the movie. It feels forgettable, though. Your description is forgettable.
Yeah, well, it's really the amount of bias here. I'm going to save our next one for last and move on. Let me slide her over. We have a few more to get to here. I used to always get House on Haunted Hill and The Haunting confused. I don't know. I don't now, but I prefer The Haunting as an aside. Yeah, The Haunting and House on Haunted Hill. Because The Haunting is the one with Catherine Zeta-Jones, yeah? It's like some 90s, like people gather in a house that is haunted. Sometimes there's money involved. Sometimes they're mysteriously called together to be in this building.
Not for nothing, the number of titles that have the word haunt in them, very confusing.
House on Haunted Hill, Haunting of Hill House. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, haunting of a million things. And then there's just like The Haunting. How would I ever remember what that movie's about?
The Haunting in Connecticut, The Haunting in Virginia Beach, The Haunting in Miami Gardens. Yes.
Yeah.
Sarah doesn't feel like a final girl. She just feels like she happened to live when everyone else died. My man Taye Diggs saved her in that film. Absolutely. Taye
Diggs was in it. I would watch it.
Okay. Well, don't worry. We'll get to it at some point. We'll also have to do a best final guy tier list. I'll let you on that.
I'll do my best.
I'll run the numbers. You can just rate on
I
attraction.
was going to say, will be less scientific.
Okay, so next up we have another friend from the faculty, but really it's the exact same point system. It's Stokely Mitchell, who honestly I should probably lose. I should probably deduct half a point because she is in the movie. She makes it to the end of the movie. Yes, she's infected and then not affected by the end, but she also like strips her personality and conforms to the guy that she's suddenly dating, the quarterback. So I feel like she lost herself in the end, no matter what.
I don't remember anyone in this movie doing anything to make things not happen.
Yeah. Elijah Wood did some things. You know, Josh Hartnett did some things.
I guess. Okay, I don't remember any of the girls doing anything. So how about that?
Yeah, they were they were assimilated, they were infected, or they were the main villain. So yes,
Pretty much.
90s need to treat their women better, I think. She pulled an Ali Sheedy, and that doesn't help her case. Ooh, okay. Nathan with the Josh Hartnett emoji. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you added that. All right, next up is one that from a movie that I actually don't think I've ever seen, which again makes me that sad that I still didn't put Kyle from Child's Play 2. I'm so sorry again. This is from a Stephen King adaptation from a film called Sleepwalkers 1992. And if Alexis were here, she'd be really excited that Betty's mom from Riverdale plays this character. She's great. She is also in Twin Peaks. If y'all are fans of Twin Peaks, I personally watched it. I didn't get that into it. I really tried to commit to the cultural moment, but it didn't do it for me. But this woman is named Tanya Robertson. She's in the movie. She makes it to the end of the movie. And this is a movie in which there's like a vampire-ish. He tries to like seduce her and drain her life force because she's a virgin, and she puts up a hell of a fight. Like, I'm actually low-key like proud of the way that this was described, and I watched like a couple clips. She puts up a hell of a fight, but also she's ultimately saved by a cat. Imagine the Animal Report on that, Ryan.
I don't really. Does that make the cat a final girl?
I think it's a guy. I think it's Clover. Twin Peaks. That Twin Peaks. I see.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know what Twin Peaks was, actually.
Like the restaurant?
So I was driving by and I saw a Twin Peaks. I'm like, oh, is that a Twin Peaks themed restaurant? And then I realized it's Hooters for lumberjacks.
It is Hooters from Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah.
I went there to have drinks with a coworker, and it wasn't that great.
The one in Davie, Florida opened right when I moved away from there.
Ah, that's the one I went to.
Yeah, I figured it was.
Oh, look at that. So Tanya Robertson has a point for those three things, for being in it, surviving it, and then also taking out one of the killers. But she could have made up some ground and been adequate had her cat not killed the last killer.
Sorry, is anyone that's watching, have you guys seen this and seen this final girl? I feel like no one has.
It's from 1992.
Ashley feels like she might. I'm in hot with typing, you know?
We'll see. We'll see. Her eyebrows are legendary, though. I will say that. I want to watch this just for the cat. Never seen it. Yeah, that's fair. Next up, we have. Oh my gosh, I'm actually really excited about this one, and it makes me think that there's probably some other creature features that I left off of the stream. You've seen Anaconda, 1997?
No.
J-Lo in a horror movie.
Oh God.
She's been in a couple. But she plays Terry Flores, who's in the movie, makes it to the end of the movie, helps someone survive, and kills an anaconda. She's kind of badass.
I have seen Anaconda.
I love that.
How could you miss Anaconda? I don't know when I would have ever watched this.
It's a moment.
This is a J-Lo and Ice Cube.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
And Owen Wilson. What an interesting John Boyd, J-Lo, Owen Wilson, Ice Cube.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun. Thanks, Nathan. I don't normally like creature features, but I remember really liking this movie. Yeah, this movie was fucking great. And let me tell you, J-Lo, not her discography, Ryan, but her filmography, number one, Selena, because anything for Selena. Number 2, Anaconda. Second best movie she's ever done.
Interesting. I cannot remember what I thought of her in this, but I generally think she's not good. and
Yeah,
stuff.
The Cell is probably third, but Anaconda for me is better than The Cell.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yeah, J-Lo is one of those who you can't see her in a movie outside of being J-Lo. Like, even though the movies aren't that bad, you just cannot get over the fact that it's J-Lo, except for Selena and Anaconda.
Made in Manhattan?
Can't get over the fact that it's J-Lo being a maid in Manhattan.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's that movie Enough that I thought was really good in which she's a victim of domestic violence.
Yeah, I really struggle with J-Lo, but I feel like I remember enjoying Anaconda, so.
Yeah. She actually gets a total whopping 4 points for her work to make it to the end of that film. And as such, she is in adequate territory.
Naturally.
Is she our first?
But that butt
Oh, I just want to point out she's our first Latina character in adequate. Real happy about that. The representation matters. So the next one we have is another Jennifer. A Jennifer, a Jenny from a different block, if you will. And this is Jennifer Aniston.
Ooh.
Do you remember what she's in?
Hold on. I do know, but I don't know right now. I can't say it, but I know it.
Leprechaun.
Yeah.
And I
Wait,
just
the OG?
She is the final girl in Leprechaun. And let me just say that Jennifer Aniston holding a shotgun is a vibe, and I'm here for it. So she is canonically in a couple films, but from what we ever see her in, she is in one movie, and she survives to the end of that movie. She takes some action, but she doesn't directly save anyone, and she doesn't kill the leprechaun. So she only scores 2 points. What's interesting, though, is that her character is referenced in Leprechaun Returns, but she died of cancer like a couple years before the Leprechaun Returns. Why they mention her, I don't know. I haven't seen Leprechaun Returns, but her character did live on and have kids.
She could have really been a Jamie Lee Curtis in horror.
She could have. She's a great actress.
Yeah, she really could have. I mean, she just has like a look, from this time. She could have done some things. She probably made the right decision.
Ashley, I can't even believe still, after all my 34 years, that there's a horror movie with a leprechaun as the villain.
Ashley, thank you. Me neither. All of the horror movies about holiday people, me neither.
Oh.
All of them.
It's too good. Obviously, she only gets 2 points here, and that puts her in forgettable.
Sag.
Wow. We're really just beefing up the list here. Now, obviously, the moment you've all been waiting for. There's some questionable math here. Yeah. There's some questionable math here. And I really need you all to put on your non-biased hats so we can deal strictly with the numbers. But we have our girl, also from Scream, 1996, who also played Kiara in Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Neve Campbell playing Sydney Prescott.
Yeah, the classic. Nathan knew it was coming. Ashley knew it was coming.
The love of my life is here to save the day. I love that for you, Ashley. So here we go. We have Sydney Prescott in 5 movies in the Scream franchise. She has survived all 5 movies. That gives her a total of 10. Now, we also have... She does completely kill, or she's attributed to the murder of 6 Ghostface. 6. I gave her an extra half a point because she stabbed and gave like the second to last blow to the Ghostface, which was her brother, Roman, in Scream 3. Now, here's the problem. This number is very, very high, the number that I'm about to share. And I really need us to think carefully about this. It's the same stuff that we talked about with Gale, with repeat saves. I have her as saving Gale and Dewey multiple times, not within the same movie, but saves and has a positive influence in first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And then obviously she has a couple different characters that she saves in the fifth. But I have her at a total of 8 saves in the franchise.
I'll take Sidney Prescott over.
Yeah.
Now that I've gone with actor name, over Jamie Lee Curtis.
What?
I'll take it.
I don't know. Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode, saved more people than just her 2 friends over and over and over again.
Strode is just so... First and foremost, the multiverse thing messes him up, okay? Second, she's so, like, emotionally invested where I feel like Sidney Prescott is just out here, like, saving lives.
So is Laurie.
I mean, I know it's, like, the same group of people. It's hard to... I mean, all these movies kind of have, like, a similar group of people that kind of hang around. But I feel like she never stops, you know? She puts other people ahead of herself. She's not selfish. She's not trying to save herself. She's always trying to save other people, and she just happens to make it. That's who
okay. I think I'm going to want to record a sampling of that argument and bring it back to when we actually rank all the legendary Final Girls, like piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. But how do we feel about the 8 saves? Because we get, let's count it, in the first film, we get Gale, we get Dewey, technically Randy, but Randy and her dad, yeah, I mean, I guess they would have been dead had she not killed the 2 killers. So that's 4 there. We have 5, 6. Oh, actually, no, I didn't count multiple saves. She's healthily at 8 because we have 2 people. Let's see, we have those 4. Then we have 2 people in part 5. There's 2 mystery people that I have. It's repeat saves for doing. Yeah, she saves Gale and Dewey a couple other occasions in 2, 3, and 4.
10 years later. Like 10 years later.
You okay? But you didn't want repeat saves for Gale, but you want repeat saves for Sydney.
We're talking about Gale saving one person. Also, she's married to him, so it doesn't count.
Okay, so you all agree that Sidney Prescott saves 8 people in the franchise.
I'm supporting it.
Okay. That puts her at a whopping total, which I still don't know how I feel about, 24.5 points.
You don't feel good about it because is it higher than Jamie Lee Curtis?
No matter what, she'd be higher, but she's so much higher that I don't know who else would fill this gap.
Doesn't matter.
It's the 8 that feels beefy. The 8 feels beefy.
We'll see at the end.
Even if I took 2 of those away, she'd still be like several points ahead of Laurie. That's like, and the only thing that can change is if Halloween ends, Laurie gets a lot more action.
Maybe they made her this way in all the Scream movies so that she would be at the top of this tier list.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the big conspiracy. So here we go. We have Sydney, we have Gale added to the legendary tier in this mathematical order. We had Julie James and Paquita in effective. No one in underrated just yet. We had several additions to adequate and forgettable, and no one yet in overrated. But folks, this has just been the math portion. Now it comes time for the bias. So I want you all to think carefully on this. I am going to drop a screenshot into our Discord chat. Boop. I'm going to drop a screenshot here, and I'd like you to tell me, from the 90s Final Girls specifically, who do you think was underrated or overrated? I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think. Ryan and I are going to take just a very brief break, and we're going to do some digging. We'll see you in a bit. All right, welcome back. Good to see everybody. Uh, Tony, you fell asleep. Joe, I'm so sorry that you fell asleep last night while we were recording and on break. Here's the thing. I am legitimately sweating so much. It is so hot in this room. My room, because I went to work earlier today, my room didn't have a lot of time to cool off in the 30 minutes I had between getting home and like doing this. So I'm dying inside. But
Yeah, hot Florida summer, not good.
87 degrees in my room. It was.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, Yoda.
Yeah, sorry. It was sentences. What are they? All right. So getting back into this, we have ranked a total of 27 final girls tonight. And the question is, are any of them overrated or underrated? Ryan, did you have any particular feelings?
I don't. I support the Sydney Prescott. I don't know. These are tough for me. I didn't have anything where I felt like we placed it like poorly. Although I do feel like I mentioned one, but now I can't think of what it was.
Yeah, there is someone who I thought we were gonna bump down to overrated, but I think it was Natalie Simon before we fucked up before we took away 2 of the saves. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, and I think I was really excited about somebody and they ended up being there, so I feel like it worked out. I'm happy. I support that.
Okay, actually, now that I think about this, I do have 2. One of them I know for sure, and that is Geraldine from Demon Knight. I'm bumping her up to underrated because of her impact. And yeah, it's not her fault that everybody else was incompetent and died. I think she kept people alive much longer than they would have been otherwise. And I also think her emphasis to not only score off with a demon and win and say absolutely not, but to also save a cat in the process. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, it seemed like you felt pretty passionately about that one, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, also just the impact on horror. Absolutely love it. The other one, though, I feel like I might get fought over, especially by Tony. I think for the amount that Julie James actually did, I think she should have been more in adequate territory instead of effective. And I think she's overrated.
Sorry, this is from which movie?
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, yeah.
I kid you not, when we were on break, I just sold a 65-inch Samsung Frame TV. Damn, Tony, okay. That's a productive break.
Did you put us, like, in the display? You know? I feel like we'd be good sellers. I'd sell a Samsung Frame TV. Okay.
Yeah, you absolutely would. You sell the hell out of it. It wouldn't even be hard for you.
I didn't even know that.
Okay, so it looks like 2 people agree in the chat so far. Julie James, overrated?
I don't like any of those movies.
That's fair. And here's the thing.
Overrated. And the girls could be too.
I think it's really the disparity for me between her doing nothing in the first movie and then doing a little bit of something in the second. She really gets the extra point that puts her over. Let's see where she ended up mathematically. 6. Yeah, she should have been adequate had she not gotten credit for being in a sequel. Yep. Not gonna lie, nostalgia is the only thing that saves I Know What You Did Last Summer. Watching it now, it's kind of mid. I don't feel as strongly as it did about Sally Hardesty, but she isn't all that. Yeah, 100%. And look, let it be known, let the record show that as I move her here, I move her not with a hate that I have for Sally Hardesty. I really don't. I love Jennifer Love Hewitt. Tony, I get why she's your forever Hollywood crush. I 100% understand it. But she just doesn't deserve to be in the same hardworking company as the 5 young women in the effective category.
I think you make a great point about, like, there has to be some accountability for the disparity of nothing in the first movie and then doing something in the second one. Like, the growth can't be that exponential. We gotta...
Yeah.
Tony is hurt.
I know, Tony. I'm so sorry that I'm hurting you so badly. Wow. It's okay. I got a lot of hate for putting Sally in overrated on Instagram and Twitter, but that's okay. We're good. We're Gucci.
It's our list.
Yeah, exactly. So there we have it, folks. We have in the legendary category 2 Scream queens, literally and figuratively. And in our overrated category, we have one Miss Julie James from I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Interesting that her best friend ranks higher than her. And she was only in one movie.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all remember? Yeah, do y'all remember the horror episode of Boy Meets World where Jennifer Love Hewitt guest stars? It was like a slasher in the school. No, but I like the sound of that. You skipped Kyle and you put Julie James in Overrated with Sally. I am so sorry, Tony, and I promise I am going to do a special amendment episode where I add Final Girls I missed throughout all the decades. I promise. You hold me to my word, and I will make a special little frame around it. And I will shout you out profusely for calling me out on my bullshit. And I'll try to mend your broken heart.
So many broken hearts.
I know. I don't know that I've ever made Tony this sad, and I don't know what to do with myself, but bring us to a really depressing close.
But they're fireworks.
Yeah. Baby, you're a firework. Go and show them what you're worth. I don't remember the words to that song very well, but there you have it, folks. It's been a blast. Ryan, thank you so much for hanging out.
Anything for you, my love.
Yeah, even though I know Final Girls aren't your brand, but 90s is your brand.
Here for fun, okay? Hopefully I added something.
You added great company, and I appreciate it. And you helped me keep an eye on the chat, which meant the world.
Yeah, that's the hard part, really. Honestly.
You also help my math shenanigans, because sometimes I get a little loosey-goosey with this shit. I'm not good at math.
You can't be giving people credit for helping other people.
Yeah, what? Knowledge saves people? What?
What is knowledge, really?
Fucking Rhonda Lebeck would have been up in the effective category above Paquita.
You could get crazy with that one.
Yeah, honestly, you're here for the balance. You're here for the balance. Well, folks, that's going to bring us to a close for tonight. However, there are a couple more streams ahead of us. We have the 2000s, so the aughts. We have the 2010s, and we have the Roaring 20s once again. Obviously, the Roaring 20s will come a little bit way further down as we can actually build up some Final Girls for this decade that we're in. But keep your eyes peeled to the events tab in Discord. And also keep it peeled, not only for this next stream within our ranking, but for our next live episode recording. If you are a patron, shout out to our new. I'm so sweaty, my mouth is sticking. Shout out to our new patron, Mark. If you're watching this, I hope you attend a live recording as well.
I hope your sharts are okay.
God, that was... And honestly, it doesn't help that Britt in the chat is talking about being a pain in the ass. Yeah. Sydney and I would like to thank y'all for coming out and showing your never-ending support. I love... Is that... Never-ending? Is that like a Nev Campbell pun? We couldn't have done it without you.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
I hope it's a never-ending support. Yeah, that's good. I can feel it. I'm going to pretend that's what the intention was. I love it. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it there, but thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your holiday night. If you're working in the U.S., I hope you're getting time and a half. Ta-ta.
Good night. Don't JPP yourself.